There are moments in life when you wake up and realize you don't actually know how much money is sitting in your own bank account. Worse than that, you have no access to it whatsoever. I woke up on an ordinary Tuesday morning and realized I didn't know how much money I had in my own account. Worse, I couldn't access it. I was a dentist, working 10 hours a day, seeing patient after patient. But whenever I needed to buy anything, I had to ask him for permission. I worked as a dentist, earned my hard-earned money seeing patients all day long, and handed over every single cent to him at the end of each month. Sounds insane, right? But when you trust someone blindly, any absurdity becomes normal. My name is Franciele, I'm 32 years old, and this is the story of how I lost everything I built and how I managed to start over from absolute zero. I've always been independent, you know, ever since I left my parents' house back in rural Oregon to go to dental school. My mom died of cancer when I was 22, right in the middle of my undergrad years. It was horrible, people. It was truly awful. I felt lost, alone, like the ground had disappeared beneath my feet. I think it was that pain, that overwhelming emptiness, that made me way too vulnerable to what happened next. I just wanted someone to take care of me, someone who would make me feel safe again, you know? And that's exactly what Arthur sold me when we first met. I met him in March 2007 at the clinic where I worked. It was a Tuesday, almost 6 in the evening. I was about to send the receptionist home and head out myself when he walked through the door with his hand on his face, his cheek swollen, looking absolutely desperate. "Please, doctor, I'm dying here," he said in that slightly raspy voice. I treated him even though it was after hours because, man, you could see the guy was genuinely suffering. While I was examining him, he kept looking at me with those light eyes, kind of bluish, even through all the pain he was feeling. "You're really good at what you do," he said when I finished the procedure, and then added, "And really beautiful too." I laughed awkwardly, but I'll admit I was flattered, right? He was tall, smelled good, wore a suit because he worked as a financial analyst at a major bank. He seemed mature, responsible, different from the guys I knew from school or the bars. He asked for my number before leaving. "I promise it's not just because of the toothache," he joked with that little smile. 3 days later, he called to take me to dinner. The first few months, guys, were a dream. Arthur was incredibly attentive, would pick me up from the clinic at the end of my shift, took me to nice restaurants, the kind I'd never been to before, talked about the future, about plans, about building a life together. I'd always been terrible with money, like really bad, spent everything I earned, didn't know how to save anything, had zero control. He laughed about it, but affectionately, you know. "Relax, Fran. I'll handle that for us. I understand finances. You understand teeth," he'd say, holding my hand across the restaurant table. At the time, I thought it was sweet, protective. Thought I was lucky to have found someone like that, especially after losing my mom and feeling kind of lost in life. We started living together in October 2007, just 7 months after we met. He rented a nice 2-bedroom apartment in a decent neighborhood, well-kept area. "Let me take care of the bills, babe. You work so hard at the clinic, see so many patients, you're exhausted. You don't need to worry about these things," he'd always say in that protective way. And I accepted without questioning. I started depositing my entire paycheck into his account every single month. Arthur paid for everything: rent, electricity, water, groceries, internet, health insurance, everything. I didn't even see bank statements anymore. When I needed something, I'd ask him, "Babe, I need to buy new supplies for the clinic, those imported drill bits." "Okay, I'll transfer it later." And he'd transfer it, but always with this look like he was doing me a favor, you know? As if it were his money, not mine, that I'd worked my ass off to earn. The first warning signs I completely ignored. Like when my best friend Jessica commented after lunch one day, "Fran, don't you think it's weird not having access to your own money? You make good money, you're a dentist, but you're always asking permission to buy clothes." I defended him right away, even got annoyed at her. "Oh, Jess, he understands finances. He's investing our money properly. We're gonna buy a house soon. You don't understand because you're single." God, she looked hurt, but didn't push the subject anymore. Today I know she was just trying to protect me, warn me about what I wasn't seeing. Or when my dad came to visit from Portland and asked if I was saving money, and Arthur answered for me before I could even open my mouth. "Don't worry, sir. I take very good care of your daughter. She doesn't need to worry about anything." My dad smiled and thanked him, but I saw a flash of suspicion in his eyes. That father's look that knows something's wrong but doesn't want to cause trouble, right? Then about a year into the relationship, around 2008, things really started to change. Arthur became more controlling, more aggressive with his words. He complained about my work clothes. "Those pants are too tight, Franciele. Male patients are going to be staring at you. Is that what you want? You want to give those guys ideas?" He complained when I went out with Jessica after work. "Out to bars again with that gossipy friend of yours? Don't you want to stay home with me? I work all day and you leave me here alone." He started questioning my clinic hours every time I got home. "Why'd you take so long today? Appointments end at 6, it's 7:30. I'd explain that I'd had an emergency, that a patient was late, that I did a complicated root canal that took extra time. But he always doubted me. Always with that tone like he was catching me in a lie, making me feel guilty for working, for doing my job. And so, I started changing my behavior to avoid irritating him, you know? I began notifying him when I was leaving the clinic. I'd text, "Babe, leaving now." I'd call on the way. "Almost there." I stopped making plans with Jessica. When she'd invite me out, I'd make excuses. "Ah, Jess, I'm way too tired today." Or, "Can't do it. Arthur wants to have dinner at home tonight." Until she stopped asking. And I was left without my best friend, without my support network, without anyone to talk to about what was happening to me. It was in November 2009 that things got really bad. I asked for money to buy a birthday present for my dad, who was turning 60. "How much do you need?" Arthur asked without taking his eyes off the TV, didn't even look at me. "About $300. I want to buy him that imported shirt he saw at the mall when he visited." He huffed loudly, threw the remote onto the couch hard. "300? Are you crazy, Franciele? You think I'm a bank? You think money grows on trees?" I froze right there, not understanding his reaction, my heart racing. "But it's my money, Arthur. I work. I see patients all day. It's my salary." He jumped up from the chair, came at me, finger in my face, the veins in his neck bulging, red with rage. "Your money? Your money? Who pays the bills here, Franciele? Who puts food on the table? Who pays for this $2,500 apartment? You think your little dentist salary covers all this? I supplement it with my money. You owe me gratitude." I started crying right there, shaking all over, my legs weak. He realized he'd gone too far, softened his tone, came to hug me. "Sorry, babe. Sorry, my bad. It's just we're tight this month. The investments didn't do well, had some losses. I'll transfer $200 for your dad, okay? $200 works." And I accepted. I always accepted. Always apologized for asking for my own money. After that episode, I started being afraid to ask for money. Real fear, people. When I needed something, I'd get anxious, sweating cold, thinking about how I was going to ask, what his reaction would be. There was this time I needed to buy new shoes for work because mine had torn, and I put it off for 2 days, wearing the torn shoes until I gathered the courage to ask. When I asked, he looked at my foot, looked at the shoe, and said, $40. I needed $150 to buy decent, comfortable shoes that I'd be wearing all day standing up seeing patients. But I didn't have the courage to negotiate. I bought $40 ones that gave me blisters in the first week. Jessica started pulling away because he'd complain every time I made plans with her. "That friend of yours is no good, Franciele. She just wants to turn you against me, fills your head with nonsense. She's jealous of you, of us, of what we have." My dad called less because Arthur would always answer my cell before me and say I was busy, that I'd call back later, but I never knew about those calls. He'd delete the call log, you know. I was becoming alone, isolated, but didn't realize it. I thought it was all in my head, that I was being too sensitive, too dramatic. There was this episode in 2010, Christmas Eve, that really marked me. My dad had given me $500 cash as a gift, slipped it in my pocket secretly when he left after lunch. I was so happy, guys. So happy to have money that was mine, that I could use without asking permission. I hid it in my underwear drawer. 3 days later, The money was gone. I asked Arthur if he'd seen it. Yeah, I did. Took it to pay some overdue bills. Why? Is there a problem? I couldn't even respond. Just turned around and cried in the bathroom. Then, in March 2011, 4 years into the relationship, I found out I was pregnant. I took the test alone in the clinic bathroom, between patients at 10 in the morning. I was shaking so much I almost dropped the test on the floor. 2 bright pink lines. I got home at 7 that evening, euphoric, nervous, anxious, with the test in my purse. Arthur, babe, I'm pregnant. We're having a baby. He was on the couch, working on his laptop, responding to emails from the bank. Didn't even lift his head from the screen. So what? Guys, I felt the floor disappear from under my feet. What do you mean, so what? We're gonna be parents. We're having a child. He finally looked at me, but with anger, not joy. No happiness at all. Franciele, are you stupid or what? We can't afford a kid right now. I'm barely paying the bills and you come talking to me about a baby? You don't think, do you? I started crying uncontrollably, sobbing. But we always talked about having kids. It was always our plan. He got up, grabbed the car keys from the coffee table. Deal with it. Make an appointment and deal with it. And he walked out, slamming the door hard, leaving me there alone, crying, pregnant. I didn't deal with it. I couldn't. Despite everything, despite all the control, despite all the abuse I was suffering and didn't even fully recognize yet, I couldn't terminate that pregnancy. It was my baby. It was a piece of me. And maybe, deep down, I hoped that a child would change him, would make him become the man I thought I'd met back in 2007. Lucas was born in November 2011, on a cold, rainy Tuesday morning. Arthur didn't go into the delivery room, said he couldn't handle seeing blood, that he'd wait outside. My dad came from Portland, stayed with me the whole time, held my hand while I pushed. When Lucas was born, when I heard that first cry, guys, I cried so much, so much. It was relief. It was joy. It was fear. Everything mixed together. My dad looked at that little baby and cried too. He looks just like you when you were born, Fran. Arthur came into the room an hour later, looked at the baby from afar, said, he's pretty, and left saying he needed to get back to work. The first 2 months were hell. Lucas cried a lot at night, had colic, and I was there alone dealing with everything. Arthur slept in the guest room because he needed to rest for work. I breastfed every 2 hours, changed diapers, gave baths, sterilized bottles, all while recovering from a C-section. My body hurt, my stitches pulled, I was exhausted, running on 2 hours of sleep. And Arthur? Arthur complained about the noise, about the smell of dirty diapers, about the lack of sex, about me not having time for him anymore. It was in January 2012 that everything fell apart for real. Lucas was 2 months old. I'd gone back to work at the clinic part-time, 3 times a week, 4 hours a day, because I needed the money, and because Arthur said we couldn't afford for me to stay home. I was leaving Lucas with my neighbor, Mrs. Elena, a sweet 65-year-old lady who'd raised 4 kids and offered to help. One Thursday afternoon, I got home earlier than usual because I'd had a cancellation, opened the apartment door around 4 in the afternoon, and I heard moaning coming from our bedroom. Guys, my heart stopped. I walked slowly down the hallway. Each step felt like it weighed a ton, my hands shaking. I opened the bedroom door, and there was Arthur, in our bed, with another woman. Not just any woman. It was Carla, the secretary from the clinic where I worked. The girl I'd trained myself, who I trusted, who I considered almost a friend. They jumped out of bed when they saw me. Arthur tried to come toward me, but I stepped back, feeling nauseous, dizzy. Fran, babe, I can explain. I didn't let him finish. I grabbed Lucas, who was sleeping in his crib in the nursery, packed a suitcase with whatever clothes I could grab, and left. I went to my dad's house in Portland that same night, drove 4 hours with a 2-month-old baby in the back seat, crying the entire way. The divorce was a nightmare. Arthur tried to claim half of everything, including my dental equipment, my patient base, everything. Said he'd invested in my career. He fought for custody of Lucas even though he'd never changed a single diaper, never gotten up in the middle of the night, never given him a bath. He wanted child support, even though I was the one with primary custody. He emptied our joint account, the one that supposedly had our investments, before I could access it. I lost 4 years of savings. Everything I'd earned those 4 years working as a dentist. Everything. My lawyer, Dr. Patterson, an older woman in her 60s who'd handled dozens of divorce cases, looked at me across her desk and said, "Franciele, what you went through is called financial abuse. And it's more common than you think." Financial abuse. I'd never heard that term. I thought abuse was just physical, just hitting, just visible marks on the body. I didn't know that controlling someone's money, isolating them, making them dependent, making them ask permission to buy basic things with their own money, was also abuse. Just as serious, just as destructive, just as cruel. The first year after the divorce was incredibly hard. I was living at my dad's house in Portland, sleeping in my childhood bedroom, with Lucas in a crib next to my bed. I felt like a failure, 30 years old, divorced, with a baby, no money, no home of my own. I cried every night after putting Lucas to sleep. I questioned every decision I'd made. How did I let this happen? How did I not see it? How was I so stupid? But my dad, that wonderful man, would sit next to me on those nights and say, "Fran, you're not stupid. You were manipulated by someone who knew exactly what they were doing. That's completely different. And you know what? You got out. That's what matters. You're here, you're alive, you have your son, and you're going to rebuild everything. I believe in you." And so I started rebuilding. Got a job at a clinic in downtown Portland. Started seeing patients again. Every cent I earned went into an account that only I had access to. Only me. It was my money. When I got my first paycheck and looked at the statement showing that money there, available mine, guys, I cried. I cried like a baby. It was freedom. It was power. It was dignity returning. I reconnected with Jessica, who I'd lost touch with during those years with Arthur. Called her one night, crying, apologizing for pushing her away, for not listening when she tried to warn me. And you know what she said? "Fran, I never stopped being your friend. I was just waiting for you to be ready to come back. I'm here. I've always been here." True friendship, guys, survives anything, even years of silence. I started therapy with Dr. Roberts, a psychologist specializing in domestic abuse. And in those sessions, I understood so many things. I understood that it wasn't my fault, that I wasn't weak, that anyone can be a victim of abuse, regardless of how strong, independent, or intelligent they are. Abusers are experts at manipulation. They know exactly what to say, how to act, when to be charming, and when to be cruel. It's a calculated cycle. And I fell into it like millions of other women fall every day. Today, 5 years after the divorce, I have my own clinic in Seattle. I bought it with a loan I got based on my work, my reputation, my patient base that I rebuilt from scratch. It's small, cozy, has 2 chairs, a reception area, and a small office. It's mine. Every piece of equipment, every chair, every tool is mine. No one can take it away from me. No one can claim they invested in it. It's the result of my work, my effort, my sleepless nights. Lucas is 6 years old now. He's smart, funny, affectionate, looks just like me. He doesn't remember much about Arthur, thank God. Arthur pays child support now, the minimum the court set, and sees Lucas every other weekend. That's it. And honestly, that's more than enough. I got married again 2 years ago to Rodrigo, a physical education teacher I met at the gym where I went 3 times a week to de-stress, to take care of my mental health. He's completely different from Arthur. He has his separate account. I have mine. We split household expenses 50-50. Each pays for their own things, and nobody controls anybody. We talk about money openly. No taboo, no secrets. Babe, I'm gonna invest $2,000 in stocks this month. Cool. I'm putting $3,000 in that fund I researched. And that's it. No judgment, no control, no asking permission. It's a real partnership. It's respect. It's real love. Today I know, I'm absolutely certain, that I wasn't crazy. Never was. My intuition was always right. Always. That sick feeling I'd get in my stomach when he controlled my money was real. That sensation of being trapped, suffocated, diminished, was true. It wasn't making a big deal, wasn't exaggerating, wasn't all in my head. It was abuse. Financial abuse, emotional abuse, psychological abuse. And if you're reading this, if you've made it this far and you're identifying with this, feeling that tightness in your chest, that lump in your throat, that cold feeling in your stomach, you are not crazy. You're not exaggerating. You're not too sensitive. You're not being dramatic. You're being abused. Your money is yours. Your work is yours. Your freedom is non-negotiable. Doesn't matter if you're married, if you have kids, if you've lived together for years. None of that changes the fact that the money you earn is yours. Nobody who truly loves you controls you financially. Nobody who respects you leaves you without access to what's rightfully yours. Love isn't control. Care isn't manipulation. Protection isn't isolation. Partnership isn't dependence. Leave. I know it's hard. I know you're scared. I know you think you have nowhere to go, that you don't have money, that you won't make it. I thought that too. I left home with a suitcase of clothes and a 2-month-old baby. No money, no account, nothing. And I made it. If I made it, you can too. Call your family. Call that friend you distanced yourself from because he told you to. Call your dad, your mom, your sister, someone. There's always someone willing to help. There's always a support network, even if you can't see it now because he isolated you. Gather evidence. Screenshots of conversations, of bank statements if you have access, of transfers, of everything. You'll need it. Find a lawyer, explain the situation. Many do the first consultation for free, and go. Take your child if you have one, take your things, and go. Life out there is better, lighter, freer. It'll hurt at first, it'll be hard, you'll want to go back. But don't go back. Hold on tight. Each day gets easier. Today, I wake up every day and look at my account statement. I buy what I want, when I want. I help who I want, my dad, Jessica when she needs it, people I love. I invest how I want, make my own financial decisions. I travel with Lucas during vacations. I bought him that video game he wanted. I bought myself a specialization course in dental implants. And I didn't have to ask anyone's permission. And there's no price in the world that can pay for this freedom, this feeling of owning your own life, your own money, your own decisions. I sleep in peace. I wake up happy. I look at Lucas, and I know I gave him the best example, that of a strong, independent mother who didn't accept being controlled, who rebuilt everything from zero. If my story touched you in some way, if you know someone going through this, share it. Send it to her. Sometimes we just need to hear from someone who's been through it, that it's possible to get out, that it's possible to start over, that it's possible to be happy again. Leave your experience in the comments below, your story, or a word of support for someone going through this right now. Because sometimes just knowing you're not alone, that there are other women who went through the same thing and overcame it, helps. Gives strength. Lights a little spark of hope. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications. Hit that like button. Because the more people know it's possible to start over, the better. The more women hear stories like mine and wake up to their own reality, the more lives we save. We need to talk about this. We need to warn others. We need to share. Together, we're stronger. Always have been. Always will be. You're not alone. I'm here. There are tons of women here in the comments who went through the same thing. We form a network, a chain of support, and you will make it. I made it. You can too. Big hug. Take care of yourself. And remember, you're stronger than you think. From which city are you watching? Leave it in the comments.